Hello and welcome to Big Picture Walks. In one of the first episodes of the series, I was discussing the possibility of human species to go extinct. I argued that there are many risks involved, but I also said that from my perspective, the biggest risk of all is the risk associated with the creation of superhuman artificial intelligence. It may be easier for us to create a superhuman artificial intelligence than to create a superhuman artificial intelligence which would also be friendly. Being friendly is yet another challenge. And the problem is that we would just have one shot. We just have one chance of building a superhuman artificial intelligence that would be friendly. If we build the first one to be superhuman and it happens not to be friendly, we won't have a second chance, because we would not be able to switch it off, because we would not be able to reprogram its goals. And that's it. And in that scenario, it's not that it would inherently hate us. I think it's just like if its goals not coincide with ours, which we don't know too well, by the way, but if it would not coincide with ours in 100%, but there will be like a small difference, then if it accumulates its resources and follows its own goal, this small difference may actually grow to such a large difference that would in the end mean that it would be optimal for the algorithm to get rid of the human species, because it would correctly perceive us to be the biggest threat to its success in chasing its goal. So what would happen to the human civilization in the face of an extinction risk because of an AGI? So I think it's very important to mention that it's not the same thing if you're talking about the humankind or if you're talking about the human civilization. And this shows precisely where the difference is. It may be the case that from some moment onwards, humankind as such will go extinct, but the artificial intelligence algorithm would continue the civilization without us being able to observe it. So it would be like not the human civilization anymore, but certainly an Earth-based civilization which was facilitated by the actions of humans. It would be probably a rapidly developing world that will be after something. They will be chasing some sort of goal. And what goal would this be, and would modern-day humans be proud of it? It's hard to say. I mean, it's even hard to say if this is a nice criterion to judge the progress of the human civilization over the past centuries. I mean, is the Middle Ages a worthy continuation of antiquity? Is the industrial era a worthy continuation of the agricultural era? I mean, these are loaded questions, hard questions. I'm not going to give answers. Another possible scenario for the future is the one where the humankind does not go extinct, but there is a superhuman artificial intelligence which effectively takes over the decision making. But if it is friendly, okay, if it is fully aligned with our own goals and with our own well-being, which is not precisely defined to this day, then it will satisfy our needs. It will help us solve our problems. And then the question is, how would people behave in such a world? And we may face the risk of being kind of outdated, obsolete, unable to catch up with the reality. The environment in which we will be living may become fundamentally incomprehensible to us because of the sheer pace of progress that could be accrued if there is a superhuman being ruling the world. And so ultimately the question is, can there be a world where a superhuman artificial general intelligence and humans coexist in peace? Can this be stable? Or would it one day or another degenerate into a conflict? In the history of the Earth, there has been just one species that has achieved such a difference in terms of intelligence with regard to all other species that it could unequivocally dominate across all ecosystems, and that's the humans. And so, well, this is just one observation. It's hard to extrapolate from the one observation, but the observation we have is that we have not coexisted peacefully with any other species. So if there's gonna be a singularity, a technological singularity where there is a superhuman artificial intelligence algorithm that undergoes intelligence explosion and therefore achieves capabilities which are orders of magnitude above our human capabilities in data processing and decision making and making sense of the world, controlling the world, then what's beyond that point? And of course, the question what's beyond the singularity is an epitome of unanswerable question. If we knew what would be behind the singularity, it would not be a singularity. So, and if we could predict the actions of the artificial intelligence beyond the singularity, it would not be superhuman. So, logically, we cannot say what's beyond the singularity. Now, of course, the question is if there is going to be a singularity at all, maybe the scenario is not going to happen. And of course, it is possible. I think it's nice to order the possible scenarios for the future according to the highest possible capacity in intelligence or data processing. We could just rank the scenarios by how good the artificial intelligence is going to be. Okay, and so let's go from the top. The top is the one I already discussed. Technological singularity is the scenario where the level the AI achieves is way above our human intelligence level. If you go down, you may get at some point to a scenario where there's going to be the maximum possible level of intelligence by AIs, which would be similar to the human intelligence level. Okay, and that's a scenario, for example, of whole brain emulations. Robin Hanson has a book and numerous articles on that. So this is a possibility where there could be an AI which is not more clever than we are, but it's possible to work to think faster, which is a clear advantage. Now, if you go further down, you could have a scenario that is quite well known in the economics literature, particularly so after the paper by Daron Acemoglu and Pascual Restrepo. It's the race against the machine. So that's a scenario where the best possible AI has lower abilities than we have, but there is progress in automation. So there is more and more specialized narrow AI algorithms that can operate certain tasks, but would not be able to generalize and to go up and overtake the human level of intelligence. So that's the race against the machine. So there will be potential for increased applications of automation, of artificial intelligence, but only up to a point. And there will be some tasks that would never be automated, like, for example, the act of creating new tasks. Okay, you can go even further down, and then you get to a world where essentially there's not going to be much more beyond what we have already in terms of artificial intelligence. So, maybe you would have self-driving cars, but that's it, okay? Nothing more. So that's a scenario which is, similar to what we've observed already in the past, and what it could lead to is either exponential growth in GDP per capita and productivity and so on, but without any revolutionary changes in how the economy and the society operates, or maybe even a stagnation, a secular stagnation, a slowdown in technological progress, a scenario which is sometimes referred to as gloomy, but in my perception, it's actually quite safe. So it depends how you're looking at it. But even though it's safe and not as gloomy as some people perceive it, in my perception, it's not very likely. If I were to place my bets, I would say that race against the machine is the absolute minimum that we can expect already looking at what's happening these days. But if you have just a tiny little bit confidence in extrapolation, you could say that it's fairly likely that the level of intelligence in the algorithms will go up and up. And that's both because of the hardware and because of the software. There have been tremendous improvements in software. We've passed from like very simple perceptrons, so very simple neural networks, to something which is very sophisticated and has a lot of elements. And people, in fact, don't really understand what's going on inside it. But as I said, it's not necessary for us to understand for these algorithms to be actually very efficient. So the point here is that I would say there has been a lot of progress in software. If anything, it's either exponential or faster than that. So extrapolation will bring us to this higher ends of the spectrum. And if you look at hardware, then you can say that maybe the Moore's law is already slowing down, so maybe this is not as a great pace of growth as it used to be. But on the other hand, you've seen some breakthroughs in quantum computing. And so we have seen also some breakthroughs in parallel computing. So again, to me, I can still extrapolate that for the next decades, there will be quite fast progress in hardware as well. Which again brings me to the prediction that it's probably not going to end up very low on the spectrum between secular stagnation and hard AI takeoff, as it's sometimes alluded to. Technological singularity, AI takeover. I don't know. I will think it's probably going to end up rather high on the spectrum. My position is an anxious optimist, technological optimist. I don't think technological growth will slow down. It will bring a lot of goods, a lot of improvements, a lot of risks. We'll see. We're living in interesting times, interesting times. Please stay safe. Bye.